I recently issued an extremely ambitious rap challenge to both my subscribers and myself. I asked them to write 4 bars themed around the topic of New Year's without an instrumental. And then I would have to construct a full verse out of all these random lyrics and try to figure out a way to rap them over an instrumental of my choosing. My name is ColeMize, and I've been helping rappers perfect their rap skills on this channel for the past 10 years. Now, the purpose of this challenge is to demonstrate how to make lyrics work over an instrumental that you did not initially write to. I also wanted to display the songwriting process. Even though these aren't my lyrics, I still have to use songwriting techniques to figure out a way to make all these random lyrics tell a cohesive message. And I'm also going to have to use scatting and engineering/problem solving to create a rap flow that works perfect with the lyrics, so I have my work cut out for me. Do you think I'm going to be able to pull this off? Let me know in the comments section below. So here's my game plan. First, I'm going to take inventory of all the lyrics I received, and then I'm going to set aside the lyrics that really stood out to me. Next, I'm going to look at all the lyrics that I kept and see if any of them seem to connect to each other in any type of way. And if so, I'll group them together. I'm also considering which lyrics may be good for starting and ending the verse. And I'll get rid of anything that feels redundant or unnecessary in context with how the verse begins to take form. My goal is to preserve as much of the original lyrics that I decide to keep, but I do expect to have to tweak the lyrics at times to make them flow perfectly over the instrumental. Remember, my audience intentionally wrote these lyrics without an instrumental, and it's on me to make sure they have an awesome rap flow. So for step 1, I'm taking inventory. I received 38 submissions, and I got rid of 24, which left me with 14. At 4 bars apiece, I now have a total of 56 bars, which is still way more than I need for a verse. I'm going to try to keep the verse around 24 bars, but I'm willing to go over that amount as long as the verse doesn't feel like it's dragging. In step 2, it's time to organize these lyrics together. Now that I have all my favorite lyrics together, I've started to put them into colored groups based on their similarities. Pink means a serious tone, purple means striving for success, green is making music, orange is partying, and red is resolutions. And I placed my lyrics that I felt could be good for starting the verse at the beginning and the ones I felt could be good closers at the ending. I really like Condrak 334's lyrics for the beginning because of its repetition and that he asked the question, "Why am I still here?" The intro of many stories, regardless if it's a song or a movie, begins with some type of conflict. Condrak introduced an internal conflict when he asked, "Why am I still here?" which gives us room to create a resolution to this conflict by the end of the verse. Also, Rebecca's lyrics felt like the perfect follow-up because she shared a similar serious tone as Condrak did, and she also asked the question, "Will I run into unkind sands of time at midnight?" I like how she personified sands of time as if it were a person. Also, by saying time at midnight, she's established a time frame for this verse. This is another helpful thing to establish during the intro of a story sometimes. And I felt like the Siege Flippin bars was the strongest candidate for an ending. He provided a resolution to the conflict from the beginning of the verse by stating, "I cannot be stopped. I keep evolving." Also, since he's juggling multiple rhyme schemes, both internal and in rhymes, this will sound very impressive, which allows the verse to end on a high note. And I liked how Purverse and Explain Through Rap's lyrics played off each other. They're both themed around partying, which I felt also belongs towards the end of the verse so that we end on a fun, upbeat, celebratory type of vibe. Purverse set up Explain Through Rap's lyrics because he said, "We don't care who hears." And then Explain Through Rap said, "Speakers bumping got the people jumping." Because of this, I decided to put Purverse's lyrics before Explain Through Rap's. Now that I have a solid beginning and ending established, it's time to start focusing on the middle. And this is an important songwriting technique that I don't want you to overlook. It can be very advantageous to be thinking about the ending of a verse or a song at the beginning of writing it. And this gives you a destination that will give your songwriting direction. I often like to approach songwriting like driving a car. Before I start driving a car, I already have a destination in mind that I'm trying to reach and a route on how I'm going to get there. And this will prevent your songwriting process from being like a freestyle and will give you a clear sense of direction. Now I'm going to focus on the lyrics that's going to help me transition out of the beginning of the verse. I felt Casey James' lyrics would be a perfect way to pick up after Rebecca because his tone still sounds serious and the timeline matches up because he says it's almost 2024. And Lil Chewy's lyrics was a perfect follow-up because he shifted the focus from what he was doing to what everyone else was doing in regards to writing a bunch of empty promises that they're not going to fulfill. This also shifted the tone of the lyrics from sounding soft, gentle, and serious to sounding more aggressive and confrontational. This shift in tone and perspective gave the verse some momentum. And Ken at Rap Opera Central was the perfect follow-up to Lil Chewy's lyrics because he's stating it's redundant to make resolutions when you're constantly in a state of improvement. This also matches the tone of Lil Chewy's lyrics. Now, since I'm using Ken's lyrics, this is going to cause me to eliminate some of the other lyrics that are talking about using resolutions as a way of improving their lives, since that would create a contradiction in what Ken is now saying by saying he doesn't have to use resolutions because he's constantly improving. And because of this, I had to get rid of the following lyrics. Vivid because his lyrics spoke about surrendering bad habits. DJ Glenn because he was talking about making changes, not making the same mistakes, etc. I also decided to get rid of Mad Soldier's lyrics because he said rising up from the shadows. So coming from a place of darkness into the light. If the direction of the verse would have been about overcoming adversity, this would have been perfect. But since the verse started from a place of uncertainty and has now evolved to a position of confidence and assurance, it wouldn't make sense to say, I rise up from the shadows at this point of the verse. I also decided to get rid of Zombie's lyrics for a similar reason. His lyrics are talking about starting a business, which doesn't really connect with the other lyrics I've picked. Also, it's rising from the underground is a similar angle as Mad Soldier as far as rising, coming up, which doesn't match the new confident stance that I've taken with Ken's lyrics. I also decided to get rid of X the Elephant's lyrics because it was speaking more from strictly a battle rapping perspective. And I decided to keep MC Benny's lyrics because I felt it was a good transition into the partying lyrics since he spoke about being grateful to be alive, so let's spark some bud up and get fried. The main songwriting takeaway is this. When you're writing lyrics, be mindful of how everything is connecting together to make sure it's all cohesive and makes sense. I've already been keeping tabs of the tone that's being used and the time frame being before New Year's, and now the position of not making New Year's resolutions. I also double checked my ending bars to ensure that they still fit my new position. Even though the Siege used the word resolution, the context still fits because he said, I resolve to keep revolving. I cannot be stopped, I keep evolving, which connects with Ken's lyrics when he said, peak, stay the goal. They're both talking about improving on top of improvements, not correcting bad habits. Now step 3, it's time to trim. Now I have a total of 36 bars, and I'm gonna go back and make sure there's nothing else that I need to remove that seems to be redundant or excess or just doesn't quite fit with everything in context around it. In Condrak's lyrics, I decided to cut out his last 2 bars because it's talking about breaking out of a loop that you're stuck in, which doesn't connect with Ken's position of no need for change. On Rebecca's lyrics, I decided to get rid of the last 2 lines because I felt her lyrics transitioned into Casey's lyrics better without them. Casey mentioned 2024 in his lyrics, and she already said 2023 in her first line, and I didn't want there to be an overuse of years in these bars. Also, I find her question, will I run into unkind sands of time at midnight? Kind of funny now because by the end of this verse, to ring in the New Year's, we're going to be partying like crazy. This creates some good contrast to be unsure at the beginning, and by the end of this verse, we're confident in having a great time. Also, by me removing her last 2 lines, it creates a new rhyme scheme with Casey with her night and his lives. On MC Benny's lyrics, I removed the last 2 bars for a similar reason as Rebecca's, with there being an overusage of the year since Purverse begins his lyrics with 2024. And step 4, engineering. Now that my verse is laid out for me, it's time to start doing some engineering. Engineering is when we fix problems. These lyrics aren't going to sound awesome automatically over an instrumental. This is where I'm going to lean on my scatting skills to come up with cadences that work with these lyrics perfectly. But I'm not just going to be tweaking the cadence here, I'm also going to be tweaking the lyrics to make them all work together. Some bars may have too many syllables, which is causing things just to be cramped, and I may have to say the same thing in fewer syllables to fix that issue. Or the opposite may occur when there's not enough syllables in a bar and I'm having to create too much space or having to drag out syllables too long in an unnatural way to make them fit. So in that situation, I'll have to add some syllables maybe to kind of fill it in a little bit more and make it feel a little bit better. And also, a third option is I may tweak the lyrics just to make it fit the cadences that I come up with a little bit better. These are the three things that we are adjusting in the engineering side of things to make lyrics and our cadences work perfectly together. For this challenge, I decided to rap over an MF Doom inspired instrumental that I produced called Ground Zero. If you like this instrumental and you want to support the channel, I'll post a link to it in the video's description below. Okay, on Condrak's lyrics, I had previously removed 2 bars. He originally submitted 5 bars, so now I only have 3. So I wrote 1 bar leading into his 4th bar to even things out. His second bar was pretty empty, so I filled it in with some more lyrics, and on his last bar, I added the word really because I felt it made it flow better. My rap flow is pretty straightforward here. I led into the first beat by saying 1 more at the end of the bar before it, and I placed the rest of my 1 mores that are at the end of his bars in the same place. And here's how it sounds. Yeah. 1 more second, 1 more minute, 1 more hour, 1 more year, 1 more smile, 1 more tear, another mile through the fear. 1 more chance to take a stance and make things crystal clear. 1 more answer to the question, why am I really here? And Rebecca's lyrics worked perfectly as is. I placed the first 20 at the empty space left on the end of the 4th bar of Condrak's lyrics, and the cadence I used here in delivery reminded me of DMX. And here's how it sounds. 2023 was fine and the sun was big and bright, while I run into unkind sense of time at midnight. And I made a couple of small tweaks to Casey James' lyrics. I added the word "and" on the 2nd bar to help it flow better, and on his 4th bar, I removed the word "the" and shaved the S off of New Year's because it was causing this bar to feel too dense. I placed a pause after Rebecca's last word, midnight, and I placed his word "man" at the end of Rebecca's last bar, and I added a pause on his 1st bar after book. These pauses were needed because the verse has been really dense up until now and needed just a little bit of space to breathe, which also gave me some flexibility to play around with the rap flow a bit more. And here's how it sounds. Midlife's an open book filled with ink and pages. It's almost 2024 and as the chapter changes, a new year to jot out my goals and expectations. I'm dropping fire music like New Year ball decorations. Now, I didn't have to do much to Lil Chewy's lyrics. All I changed was on the 4th bar, I shaved the R off of there to say they, just to make this line roll off the tongue a little bit better. Since I filled in all of KC's last bar, I started on the first beat of Lil Chewy's bar, and here's how it sounds. Everybody else gon' write a list of resolutions, a bunch of white lies, they don't come with solutions. Lose weight, make friends, or some other revolution. If I'm gonna be honest, they just some empty constitutions. Now when it came to Ken's lyrics, I didn't have to do much tweaking either. His lyrics weren't very dense, so I added 3 pauses. 1 at the beginning of the 1st bar and after the word go, and on the 2nd bar after the word flow. I also added stress on the word go and no to make those rhymes stand out more. I did the same thing for matter and calendar, and here's how it sounds. Years come and years go, but no matter the calendar, we gon' stay on the flow. New year, but no resolution on the first day. Peak state of goal, no need for change like Apple Pay. Now when it comes to MC Benny's lyrics, his 1st bar was feeling a bit too crowded, so I removed a syllable from doesn't by replacing it with don't. And here's how it sounds. Grateful to be alive, cause everyone don't survive, so let's chill for the moment, spark some butt and get fried. Now on Purverse's lyrics, he left plenty of room in his bars, and since we are now partying and I wanted the flow to sound more relaxed and drawn out, so I decided to stretch his end rhymes out a lot. And this reminds me a lot of Ludacris, T.I., and Young Jeezy's flow. And I punched in on every bar so that I could start rapping on the tail ends of his words. And it makes it sound so smooth. The only change I made to his lyrics was on the 2nd bar because I needed to fill it in more to match my flow. So I removed and replaced it with open up, which is 3 syllables. And here's how it sounds. 2024 is gonna be a new year. Crack a bottle, open up a few beers. where everybody in the room cheers. Make a lot of noise, we don't care who hears. Now, I didn't have to do much tweaking on Explain Through Rap's lyrics. On the second bar, I added is just to get it closer to the rap flow I was going for, and I added a pause at the beginning of every bar, which is a big part of the groove that I created for my cadence here. And here's how it sounds. Speakers pumping, got the people jumping. Almost 24, but where was Kiefer Sutherland? Nowhere. Oh yeah, the party won't need saving. No behaving, just beer pong, smoke, and raving. And for the Siege, I didn't have to tweak any of his lyrics. I just made sure he had a fair amount of pauses because I wanted to create a climatic build-up for his fourth bar. Having more pauses allowed the energy of the cadence to fall back just a little while still sounding aggressive. I also made sure to pause on the first bar after Revolution because this was the end of his first statement. If I didn't pause here, it wouldn't have the same impact on the listener and it would sound like a run-on sentence instead of a completed thought. And here's how it sounds. My resolution's a revolution. I resolve to keep revolving all the cogs installed inside the noggin. I cannot be stopped, I keep evolving. Unlike the ball that falls for the top, I promise I would not be dropping. Now for the grand finale, let's listen to all 32 bars at once, written by 9 different rappers from all around the world. Let's get it. Yeah. One more second, one more minute, one more hour, one more year, one more smile, one more tear, another mile through the fear. One more chance to take a stance and make things crystal clear. One more answer to the question, why am I really here? 2023 was fine and the sun was big and bright, while I run into unkind sense of time at midnight. Midlife's an open book, filled with ink and pages. It's almost 2024 and as the chapter changes, a new year to jot out my goals and expectations. I'm dropping fire music like New Year ball decorations. Everybody else gon' write a list of resolutions. A bunch of white lies, they don't come with solutions. Lose weight, make friends, or some other revolution. If I'm gonna be honest, they just some empty constitutions. Years come and years go, but no matter the calendar, we gon' stay on the flow. New year, but no resolution on the first day. Peak state of goal, no need for change like Apple Pay. Grateful to be alive, cause everyone don't survive. So let's chill for the moment, spark some butt and get fried. 2024 is gonna be a new year. Crack a bottle, open up a few beers, where everybody in the room cheers. Make a lot of noise, we don't care who hears. Speakers pumping, got the people jumping. Almost 24, but where was Kiefer Sutherland? Nowhere. Oh yeah, the party won't need saving. No behaving, just beer pong, smoke, and raving. My resolution's a revolution. I resolve to keep revolving all the cogs installed inside the noggin. I cannot be stopped, I keep evolving. Unlike the ball that falls for the top, I promise I would not be dropping. I want to send a special thanks to everybody who submitted lyrics. Y'all are awesome and I sincerely appreciate y'all's participation. And for everyone's lyrics that I kept, I'll provide links to their social media information below if they provided them. Again, my name is ColeMize with ColeMizeStudios.com, where I strive to make you a better rapper now. And be sure to check the video description below to links to my one-on-one coaching and my music review service, and get yourself a free copy of my ebook, The #1 Fundamental to Rapping. And subscribe to this channel for more straight to the point, no BS, how to rap video tutorials just like this one. And always remember, when it comes to rapping, there's no rules, there's only techniques. Peace. Hey man, you see that subscribe button right there? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Oh, and don't forget the bell icon. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Hey, I know you see that like button, right? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. And look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, today I'm gonna kill it.